I think humans don't want is 10 companies that are all competing online and they're all creating only AI content. So it's just AI versus AI. And then it has nothing to do with humans anymore because they can't compete. Like it doesn't make sense from like a ranking perspective. I think what humans want is good information, clearly presented fast, that's also somewhat unique. And since AI can't really produce unique, like new thought kind of content yet, it's kind of like against everyone's best interest to just push out, thousands of blog articles every day that say the same thing that every other article does, right?
Welcome to the Kooler Lifestyle Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Kuehlhorn, and I'm excited to have you join me as I interview community members and business leaders from the communities in which I live, work, and serve through my business Kooler Garage Doors. We're going to bring you highlights on characters in our communities. Why? Because community matters, and I want to know more about who is behind our business and leadership in order to understand and support the community fabric that our relationships make up. And collectively, we can build stronger communities that support our lifestyles, our youth, and our health.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kooler Lifestyle Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Kuehlhorn. Today, I'm sitting down with a local from Grand Junction. His name's Jacob Tegman. He runs Thirdloft Marketing. Jacob, I saw you popping up in my social feed as you went around interviewing folks on a local basis, and I thought that was really cool. I'm excited to chat with you today, learn a little bit more about you and what you offer to the local businesses. So thanks for joining.
Thanks so much for having me, Matt. Happy to be here.
Yeah, and I understand you're beaming in from your home in Grand Junction.
Yeah, day after Thanksgiving. We're just kind of relaxing this morning. So, I appreciate you setting this up, and you made it really easy to just do a podcast format like this. So,
yeah, I like to try to keep it simple, man. Jacob, did you grow up in Grand Junction, or where'd you grow up?
No, I grew up in Fort Collins, Colorado, just north of Denver.
Yeah.
So when I moved to Grand Junction about 7 years ago, it was a pretty big culture shock for me, because for me, this is a very small area, much slower pace of life. But it's grown on me. People here are very genuine.
Yeah. What brought you over?
I had just graduated college at that time, or maybe it was about a year after that. And I got a job offer to run the marketing program for a local mold, water, and fire restoration company.
Oh, right on. So so a job brought you into Grand Junction.
Correct. Yeah.
Did you study marketing at Fort Collins?
No, I was actually an English major. And I got into sales to help pay my way through college, more or less.
Yep.
And so I connected with the people who owned that business while they were living in Greeley, Colorado, where I was going to college. So,
gotcha. And when did you start Thirdloft?
Yeah, it's been. This is the end of year 5.
Okay.
And so there was just a period of time where that company was transitioning. They had been bought out by a larger franchise. And as they were figuring out all of their marketing stuff and their changes, I moved to part-time. And so it was a perfect opportunity to take on clients on the side.
Mm-hmm.
So
cool. And you were explaining a little bit of what I would call your niche before we hit record, but for the listeners, how do you, what's the competitive advantage? What's the differences with Thirdloft versus some other opportunities that are out there for folks looking for marketing?
Yeah, there's a few. I guess I'll start with what we do that everyone else does, which is we're a digital marketing company. So we provide the website, SEO, social media, ads, etc. Basically, if you need it, we can do it. But what we like to specialize in is working with smaller, locally owned businesses. And then as the technology is developing, we are getting into the AI side of marketing. And there is a hype around that. I think everybody knows that. But I think it's also a hype that when your prospective clients even look at you and they see that you're using AI, it's like a perceived value thing. So their own hype about AI almost makes them feel better about you in their mind. So we're kind of exploring, some various things affordably that small businesses can add.
Love this. All right, we're going to lean into AI convo a little bit. But just to summarize for listeners, what I heard is you really specialize in that local marketing level for the smaller company, to be able to leverage their finite resources into getting messages out on a local digital basis, which is
correct.
cool. And you utilize AI. So you're right. There's a lot of hype around AI. I think there's some knowledge around ChatGPT. The one I love is pi.ai. It's a empathetic ChatGPT type of machine. But break this down. So how do you define AI and how do you currently use it for your marketing customers?
Yeah, so I think even the term AI is probably hyped up because, like ChatGPT 4 now is very good. It can produce quite a bit of content, whether written or even, it can read aloud things for you. We use a decent amount of AI within our own company for like creating blog content.
Okay.
It can't do it on its own. You still need an editor. You still need a lot of work. But basically, this is not general AI, right? So like even calling it AI is a bit of a misnomer, I think. But, more or less, it is on the horizon. It's coming up fast. I view it as it's going to be disruptive, beneficially, I think, mostly to the marketplace in the way that the advent of the internet was. Mm-hmm. And so, those businesses that have been open in Grand Junction for 50 years that just got a website like last year for the first time. Mm-hmm. And they didn't really need one because they had so much word of mouth advertising going for them. Everybody already knew them and loved them. It wasn't a big deal. But, because of that, when people move to an area and they don't know anybody yet, they can't get the exposure to that word of mouth. They're going to choose somebody else who has the website, right? And has the SEO and all that stuff. And I just think that more and more companies who take advantage of AI when it comes out are going to move ahead in the marketplace, and that ones who don't and wait to adopt it, they will fall behind a little bit. So, and that curve will steepen, I think, with time. So,
yeah, it's definitely going to be something that is moving fast and likely faster than most of us can truly comprehend.
I could. Yeah.
That's one of the things I've been like almost in awe of, because I see it playing out in a lot of different ways. So far you've explained like you're utilizing some of these tools like a ChatGPT for assisting in generating content. And it could certainly spit out a blog post that is like SEO friendly, quicker than I can type. And we're still going to need to do some human massaging to it.
Yeah, a lot.
Right? A lot. Why is that?
Currently, ChatGPT struggles to write let's talk about blog content. Struggles to write content beyond like 400 to 500 words. Yeah. It'll start repeating itself. It won't say anything useful, And basically, it's just creating content by synthesizing information it can find on the web related to the keywords you're using as input.
Yeah.
And so, if you're not saying anything unique in your blog post, and it's not like something that a human would love to read, then the blog post kind of falls flat.
Yeah.
So we mostly use it to, have it write us an outline, and then we'll individually have it write like a couple hundred words on each one of those points. Yeah. And then we'll pass that to a writer who can then take that and expand it, make it unique, add their own unique thoughts, of course. And basically, it's just cutting down on the time it takes to write blog posts. It's not really replacing it. With ChatGPT 5, from what I understand, coming out sometime in the near future, that shouldn't be a problem anymore. I think that its length of logic will be able to be such that it could possibly write several thousand word blog posts, but we're not there yet. So
yet. But then soon is it going to be ChatGPT 6 and 7 and 8 and
right.
we're talking a handful of years, right? Like the massive amounts of information that it will be able to crunch is insane.
Right.
What do you know about, so I think some people are just generating content with ChatGPT, copying and pasting it and pushing it out there. I've heard some rumblings, and I'm wondering if you could verify any bit of this or add insights to this, but can a Google crawler or any of these search engines crawlers identify a AI written content versus a human written content, and thus does it differentiate in SEO land of where those are going to rank?
Yeah, I can't 100% say for certainty yes or no. And the reason is because Google has never shared their exact metrics for how they rank websites and articles. We have, a worldwide team of, SEO marketers that we subscribe to and connect with and share our information with. So we have a very good idea about what Google, thinks. My estimation is that they can tell to some degree. And the reason for that is because universities, for example, also can tell to some degree when their students are using AI specific content. It only makes sense then that Google would do the same. And so, really what I think humans don't want is 10 companies that are all competing online, and they're all creating only AI content. So it's just AI versus AI. And then it has nothing to do with humans anymore because they can't compete. Like it doesn't make sense from like a ranking perspective. I think what humans want is good information, clearly presented fast, that's also somewhat unique. And since AI can't really produce unique, new thought kind of content yet, it's kind of like against everyone's best interest to just push out, thousands of blog articles every day that say the same thing that every other article does, right? So,
right.
I don't know if I explained that very well, but
no, I'm hearing it. I mean, basically what I'm hearing is, and as a tidbit for listeners, like if we are creating our own content, we can use a ChatGPT or similar type of tool to assist in some of the organization and even prompting some of the thoughts. But we're going to have creative inputs and then take that output and put it into our own words so that it's actually speaking to our customer and not just another robot, if you will.
Yeah. I think that's a very good summary. Yeah.
All right. Locally, so you already mentioned something that I think is interesting. So for Grand Junction, you've been in the area for 7 years. What have you seen in the local market as a shift in that time frame that now encourages a company that's been around for 50 years to start promoting themselves in a different venue?
Yeah, I would say it was the lockdowns a couple of years ago. I can think of several small businesses that either didn't have a website a few years ago or they didn't do anything with it. And during that lockdown, a lot of people almost lost their businesses. So they've definitely changed.
And that is because people just were staying home and not being able to find certain companies, or is it also or in part to a population shift? Like, have you seen that where you yourself came from Fort Collins, but I also sense that, because of or out of COVID, like there is a shift. People are like, oh my gosh, I could live in the western slope of Colorado and I don't have to be in wherever. And so on that note, like, I think people coming from the Front Range have different expectations, right? Like they're going to want to go to online and find information before some of the other methods that are out there, or they're just new to the area and they don't know what businesses are available, what resources, right?
Yeah, I definitely think, excuse me, that the expectations of someone moving from the Front Range are different. Like when I moved here, if there was a business, say I needed some work done on my car and they didn't have a website, then I perceived that as that being that they didn't care very much about their business. And therefore maybe they wouldn't care about taking care of my car well. And of course, that's mostly BS. Like these are just like the thoughts that humans have that make no sense,
right?
In correlation to what's actually real, right? But perception is really important when it comes to running a business. Like how people think of you, what they think you care about or not. And so, like Grand Junction is growing very quickly in population, which is very good for local businesses because they have so much more potential now. But without a website, I think a lot of people won't even give a business a look. So,
Yeah, the adoption of technology. I mean, we've talked about AI. We're also referencing websites, which, from my perspective is almost a basic piece, but I totally get folks that have been around and playing a game for decades. Like that would be an afterthought.
Yeah.
But then we're also like, in a service-based business like Koolers, we're giving tablets to guys and, there's folks that are running on paper. And it's interesting to me how technology can be a disruption and it can create the good and the not so great differences that comes with it. But it's always mind-boggling to me for whatever reason, and I'm probably already like technology moves so fast.
Yeah.
And if we're not actively adopting it, we're going to lose out on a certain base that is adopting it. And if we're not moving into a high-functioning website that's even adaptable to mobile, like how many websites are out there that I can't really see on my phone?
Oh my God. Yeah, too many.
And how many people are now relying on their phone and only for their searches?
Yeah, I would say at least 50 or 60% of web traffic for my clients is mobile now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And now you're touching on something that's really cool with a good marketing partner is that ability to see the data. Like you just spot out 50 to 60% of your clients are being found on mobile searches. And that is the power of digital marketing. Like I can run a billboard, or I could run a print ad, or even a phone book, but it's harder to measure that versus like how many people are coming to my website and where are they coming from and what devices are they using? Like that's all trackable with technology.
Yeah. That's a really big deal. Of course, I still think traditional advertising is valuable, especially depending on the demographics you're going for. Whenever we have clients who are going to do radio ads or billboards, I always recommend that they have a forwarding number so that at least if they call this number, that's the only place we have that number. And it still forwards to your office, so it's fine. But so many businesses we've worked with have, initially given us pushback when we present our services because they're they've worked with marketing companies in the past and they've spent, X number of thousands of dollars and gotten no results. And I think that you need to have ways to measure your progress, at least every month, preferably every couple weeks, so you can see what's working. You can adjust. You can not overspend. Marketing, unfortunately, is one of those areas in a business where you could just literally dump your entire life savings, and then it's like a bottomless hole. Like you can just put as much as you want in. And so I think that having those metrics are really important. And we view it, as a local marketing company, as our job, not just to provide the marketing services, but kind of like you were, pointing out there, it's our job to point out trends, and it's our job to make recommendations and do all the exploration of the new technology. And, I feel like we're almost as much advisors as we are, or maybe even more, than providing the services. So,
yeah. It's an interesting game. And I've had experiences in the past where I've put in gobs and gobs of money, and it's like, what is the return? Like, some of it can be defined in data, and some of it might not. Like it's a weird mix of an art and science.
Yeah.
and that's a good thing, and it's a challenging thing at the same time. But let's get some practical pieces out there. So there could be some small business listening right now, and that business owner, like, what have you seen that is one of the biggest mistakes a small business might do when it comes to marketing?
Either not doing enough of it. In fact, I could just say that. Yeah, just not doing enough.
Not doing enough.
I was taught by some of my business mentors, I've had many, when I started my company, was that for every dollar you spend on your business, you should be spending $2 on your marketing. Businesses don't fail typically because their organization is poor, although they do. But they fail even more so just because they don't have enough sales. Like if somebody's making money and their organization's bad, they'll just figure out how to fix the organization. But if they're not making money, then they'll close the doors. So the only thing that makes you money is selling stuff, and marketing helps you sell stuff. So
yeah,
it's just like the basic math that I feel like it's easy to overlook. So
would you say that is true even in a tightening market? Like we're looking at 2024 and there's a bunch of balls rolling in the street, right? And so I would say money's getting tighter, and people are getting more tighter with that spend. What would be your recommendation in that scenario for a small company, limited resources? Like, is it time to double down on marketing during that time, or pull back?
I don't know. So what I say, I don't know. What I mean is, I don't know if you need to spend more money, right? Like, there's lots of ways to market your company without, hiring a marketing company, frankly. As much as I want people to hire me, we this year have had a number of clients drop services or put a pause on things because people are spending less money. Like, I don't know if it's a recession, maybe it is, but people are definitely spending less money, like you're saying. And so when there's a tightening market like this, a lot of companies will stop their marketing, which means that there's less competition now for promoting yourself than there was prior. And so, like for Thirdloft, we have been marketing ourselves more now than we have like in the last couple of years combined. But it's mostly inexpensive marketing efforts. Like, for example, we're interviewing local businesses similar to what you do. Yeah. And we're just promoting them for free, but it gets us in the door, right? So there's a gaming store in our downtown market space that my wife and I love. We're into board games and stuff. And they had been giving away free, like really like common Pokemon cards with candy to kids. And they just pass them out like everyone they could find. They're giving away Pokemon cards. Kids love that, gets them in the store. Like parents know that their kids love the store, so they come and buy stuff. It didn't cost them anything, right? Like that, all they bought was some bag of candy. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars when you're struggling already. Like, go ahead and tighten your budget, but there's lots of ways to promote yourself for free that people will love. Just give, basically.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I love that. I love that perspective too. Let's flip the script, and what would be like the top 1, 2, maybe even 3 ideas you would have for any local business, as far as maybe it's some of that lesser cost type of marketing, or just like, here's some of the fundamentals. What would a small business be able to take on?
I think one of the fundamentals that's really easy is to just build an email newsletter list. Most businesses collect emails as data just kind of per the course, because you'd have to correspond somehow, right?
Yeah.
And so once a month, and some people do more. I think once a month is a good amount because it doesn't bother people, just send out a newsletter to everybody on your list and just say, hey, we're thinking about you. Here's some small tidbit of information that's relevant to our industry that maybe we can educate you on and maybe you want to know about. If you want to learn more, click on this link to our website. And basically the whole goal is just to stay top of mind.
Yeah.
When people are spending less money, they're going to spend more money with the people they trust. Is basically what it comes down to. Like, we live in the USA, people are not like widely in poverty, so people are still going to be spending money. And if you just stay top of mind, you increase your chances of getting that sale dramatically. And so that's just the easiest way, I think. And even if you don't have an email list, call up every one of your customers, spend 2 or 3 days doing it if you have to. Get their emails, tell them what you're doing, tell them that you want to support them with free information that can be relevant and beneficial for them. And you'll easily get couple hundred people signed up. So
yeah, I love that. It's a great tip. Wonderful, my friend. Jacob, how do folks reach out to you and learn more about you and Thirdloft?
Yeah, so Thirdloft's website is just Thirdloft. Third is spelled out, and then Loft is Loft. So it's thirdloft.com. Anybody who's listening to this, I'll just give you my personal cell as well. I don't really mind. I usually turn off my phone when I'm not available anyways, but you can call me at 970-201-6317. We give a lot of free marketing advice. So if you just want some brainstorming, reach out. I'm happy to talk with you about your specific situation. And if we can help, great. If not, totally fine. So
I love it. I really appreciate how your authenticity, man. I can tell you're in it for service first, and you drop some good nuggets of value in here, and the pleasure was mine in conversing with you. So thank you for your time, Jacob.
Thank you so much for having me, Matt. I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to the Kooler Lifestyle Podcast. We count on your subscriptions, your likes, your shares, and I encourage you to do that now. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe, lower right-hand button. If you're on audio, download this, share it, and we look forward to having you on the next one.